Welcome to Travel Talk, where our expert magical memory planners discuss ways you can have fun, memorable, and stress-free family vacations. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Travel Talk. I am so excited today, as I always am, to talk about one of my favorite resorts. So on this episode of Travel Talk, we're talking about Sandals Regency La Toc. So if you've been listening to our podcast for a while, you know that we did do a podcast probably about 2 years ago on Sandals resorts in Saint Lucia. There are 3. They're not terribly far apart from each other, and you're able to stay at one and play at 3. So there's Sandals Regency La Toc, there's Halcyon, and then Sandals Grand Saint Lucian. And so on that podcast, we kind of did an overview of Regency La Toc and Grand Saint Lucian and a little bit about traveling to Saint Lucia in general. So this time I want to talk a little bit deeper about the Sandals Regency La Toc resort specifically, as well as some of the new accommodations they have, because they have done some really big renovations and some new accommodations that are outstanding. And I am so excited to share them with you. So let's get started. So on this deep dive on Sandals Regency La Toc, this property is about 220-acre estate on the hillside. It is the home of the Cap Estates Golf and Country Club with an 18-hole golf course. So if you want to include golf in your vacation, this is an awesome option to stay specifically at this hotel, although you can use the golf course at any of the 3. It is about 1 hour from the main airport, which is Huanora International Airport. The code is UVF. And so this is actually the closest to that main airport of the 3 Sandals resorts. So that's something to think about. If you don't want to take the general shuttle, there are a few ways to get to any of the 3 Sandals resorts. So I just want to touch on that real quick. You can come by helicopter, which is essentially an excursion, so to speak, but also transportation. So if you go with the helicopter route, you would book that through us, through their partners at Island Routes. Once you arrive in the airport at UVF, you clear customs and immigration, have your luggage, you will transfer to the helicopter. So you're allowed to bring a small bag with you that's under 20 pounds, but the rest of your luggage is going to get transferred on the regular shuttle. So you won't have that for a little bit. And you jump on the helicopter, which gives you a scenic tour of this beautiful island full of pitons, which are these mountain ranges and beautiful lush areas and the coastline and everything. So that's all part of that helicopter trip. It is a very short trip, though. Instead of being about an hour, it's about maybe 20 minutes or less. So once you get to the airport on the other side of the island, that's much closer to the resort, there'll be a car waiting for you and they will transfer you to the resort at that point. And at that point, it's about a 10-minute transfer. So figure 5 to 10 minutes at the airport waiting for your helicopter, the 20-minute helicopter ride, and then maybe 10 minutes or so on the back end getting to the actual resort. So that is definitely the quickest way to get to Sandals Regency La Toc. It is not the least expensive way. Okay, so that depends what you're looking to do. You can also do a ferry. There's a ferry that leaves that includes transportation to the hotels as well. This is not particularly fast. It is not really faster than the bus or the shuttle, but it will give you a different view, getting to see the island and being out on the water. So if that's something you're interested in, a little bit more expensive than the free shuttle because it's not free, but takes about the same amount of time. So another varied option you can do from either end. And the same similar scenario, there's going to be a shuttle from the airport to the ferry, and then the ferry takes you to the next ferry stop, and then there will be a shuttle waiting there to take you to your hotel. Again, not faster than the drive, but a different perspective on how to do it. You can also do a private car. So if you're looking to do the drive, you don't want to be out on the water or in a helicopter, but you'd like your own vehicle, maybe so you could sit right in the front or just have the privacy of a private vehicle. That is an option to add on. I guess, again, that is at an additional cost, but you can do that. So that would be the same amount of time, but still a little bit more costly. And then the shuttle, which usually takes about 8 people, that leaves from the Sandals Lounge, that would be, again, about that hour time frame of the shuttle, and it is included. So that would be your lowest cost option. So let's talk about dining. So this resort has about 10 main dining locations that you can visit. You can also visit dining at the other two resorts. So that really brings, I don't even know what that brings the total up to. I think it's like 20 something different dining venues you can try. All of the meals are included, all of the venues are included. And the wonderful thing about Sandals Resorts is there's no upcharges. So when you get the menu, everything on the menu is included, as much as you want, whatever you want. So there are a few restaurants that need reservations, and those are La Toc, which is French cuisine, the Pitons, which is a Saint Lucian influenced cuisine, and a new restaurant called Bucan. This is a family style served meal, all you care to eat, but served family style. Those three require reservations. Everything else at La Toc is no reservations needed, just walk right up. My favorite place that we enjoyed was, um, well, there was a few that I really liked. So pitons, I really liked a lot. That was the St. Lucian cuisine. My favorite things on there was an appetizer made, a shrimp appetizer, which was really, really good. And then my favorite entree was this coffee rubbed steak. I can't remember what kind of steak it was. I think it was a ribeye, but it was coffee rubbed. It didn't taste particularly like coffee, but it was really, really tasty. I really, really liked that. The other one I really enjoyed was La Toc. That is French cuisine. I usually say at any resort, hit up the French restaurant. I consider that usually the highest level of food, if you want to think about it that way. Of course, they had French onion soup, but they had really good scallops, really good fish and filet mignon there. So really good food at La Toc. I would highly recommend those. I also really enjoyed Soy. So they have two Asian restaurants. One is Soy, which is a sushi restaurant, and then they also have a teppanyaki restaurant where they cook on the table. And I really like Soy, and the reason that that's interesting, I think, is because I don't like sushi. This was the first time I ever had sushi that I actually really liked. And they have options in rice paper instead of the nori. And then they have options that include all cooked seafood. So it's either like crab or shrimp, there's avocado, cucumber. So there's a lot of choices that, and I got one of everything. I ate it all. It was so delicious. I felt so fancy using the chopsticks. And so I highly recommend Soy, especially if you have a combo of maybe one of you likes sushi and one of you doesn't. Try one of the options that are in the rice paper with the cooked seafood. If you like seafood at all, you'll probably enjoy that. So I really like Soy. I'm planning to go there our first night. No reservations required, so jump there. They also have a pub, a cricketer's pub. A lot of the Sandals resorts have some type of a British style pub. This is great because not only does it have some really fun British pub type food like fish and chips and cottage pie and things like that. They have some really good desserts. I actually really like the desserts there. I think there's like an apple crumble, and usually there's some kind of a bread pudding, depending on which one you're at. And I really like that. It also has the widest variety of beer, usually at any resort, really, in down by the pool and the main pool bars and things like that. They usually are serving local beer, which in St. Lucia is, I think it's called pitons. But in the pub, they usually have a larger variety of beer. So if you're looking for something different, you'll want to hit up the pub. Pub also has a late night menu. So if you're getting hungry after 10 and you're looking for, one more snack or one more dessert or something, the Cricketers Pub is the place to be for that. At breakfast time, there's really two main options depending on what you're looking for. So the Armando's is the Italian restaurant, and that is up on like the Sunset Bluff area, which we're going to talk about the resort layout in a minute. But the Armando's is up on the Sunset Bluff area. That's a beautiful Italian restaurant with indoor and outdoor seating. And because it's up on the bluff, it has amazing views of the water. There are lots of outdoor seating around the outside of the restaurant that just has like panoramic views. I mean, you can see everything. It's gorgeous. And they offer an a la carte breakfast. So if you want to order an omelet or order anything and have it served to you and just pick off a menu, Armando's is the place for you. The other option is the Pavilion. Pavilion is located down by the main lobby and actually right outside the main pool. So it's an open air restaurant, all open with views of the pool, and then beyond that, the ocean. The Pavilion offers a buffet breakfast. So they do have an omelet station and that type of thing, but it is a buffet breakfast. So those are your two main options for breakfast. And the other thing I just love about the St. Lucia and La Toc in general is so many of the restaurants are open air and have beautiful views. So whether you're down by the water or you're up at like La Toc is all indoors, but it has beautiful views. Pitons is pretty much open air under a covered pavilion. Soy is under a covered pavilion. And even the teppanyaki restaurant, although it's completely enclosed, being that they're cooking on the tables and everything like that, it is actually like a building kind of almost set out over the water up on almost halfway up to the Sunset Bluff. So they have amazing views from that restaurant as well. So many good things to eat and so many great places to eat them in. Really, really love the food at La Toc. And that doesn't even touch on the other resorts and the food that they have. And if I just give a small commercial for Grand St. Lucian, they have Bombay, which is Indian food. Again, didn't really know that much about Indian food and wasn't sure if I liked it or not. And we ate at Bombay at Sandals Barbados. I'm in love. So I told my husband, I said, we have to go up to Grand one day and just eat at Bombay. It is one of the restaurants that does require a reservation, but we're going to work on that as soon as we get there. And one more thing about the reservation. So there were kind of some adjustments to this. So there might be a little bit of a nuance here, but for the most part, all dining reservations are made when you check in or anytime you're on resort. So my normal recommendation is that get to the resort, you do your check-in, immediately talk to the dining desk if you're staying luxury, the concierge who's checking you in if you're staying concierge, and of course your butler. You could actually put that on your butler preferences ahead of time and make those dining reservations right on arrival. Most restaurants are open every night except for one. Usually they're closed one of the nights. So if you're in the off season, it could be more than that, but for the most part, they're all open except for one night. So you would want to get those reservations right at check-in, kind of lay out your week, know what you're doing, and then the other nights you're able to just do a walk-up. There is some ability I've been hearing and seeing, but not consistently, that you might be able to select one reservation prior to arrival, maybe like a week ahead, something like that. So keep an eye out for that in the app. But other than that, everything would be booked when you arrive, and that's great. So makes it really easy when you get there. Okay, so I just want to talk a little bit of an overview of the resort. So if you're listening to the podcast, I'm going to try to describe this. You might want to jump over and watch our podcast on YouTube because then you'd be able to see the map as well. But here's the overall landscape of La Toc because it is a large resort. So there's a long driveway that comes in to the resort, and that's like the gate out at the road, drives through the golf course, and then winds through all the way to where the main lobby area is. So the main lobby area is right on one of the three pools of the main pool. This would be I'd call it party pool or the active pool or the lively pool or whatever you want to call it. So the main lobby area, the main pool area, this is where the beach is, and it's at the very front of the resort right off of the beach. Okay. When you're doing that long, windy road into this main lobby area, you're going to pass the Rondeval Village. And we're going to talk about the Rondevals in a minute. But the Rondeval Village is back set a little bit. So they are not right on the beach. They're kind of in their own little village area. Not necessarily a long walk, but just a little bit back set there on what I would call ground level of the resort, okay? Because this resort is built into the side of a mountain, so it is very tiered and leveled and hilly. So the Rondeval Village is kind of like back by the golf course and on a flatter area, more secluded in a good way. So on the other side of the Rondeval Village, there's some tennis courts and such, and then a little bit past that are the hideaway rooms and suites. These are also in a secluded kind of area, not a far walk, back set. So you're not necessarily going to have, an oceanfront hideaway room. Okay. Hideaways are in the back. gives you seclusion, it gives you privacy, it gives it's a really nice feel kind of in the mountainous and the beautiful area there. But just to keep that in mind, okay? Then when we're back in the main lobby area and we start to head up the hill toward the bluff, okay, toward that higher elevation, in between the main lobby area and the ocean view bluff area is the Piton Suites. These Piton Suites are all built into the mountain. So they're all kind of tiered. As you walk by them, you'll kind of see them at different levels, and you're going to be taking steps up to them. So you could be at a lower one, a higher one, a couple, like might be 2 flights of stairs. So you're going up into these Piton Suites. These have some decent views. These are not necessarily the highest price point on the property. But they have some really nice views because they are a little bit built into the mountain and have a little bit of an elevation, and they're all facing the ocean. So this is that middle ground. You're kind of in the middle hill wise, a little bit up from the main lobby, not as high up as the ocean bluffs, because the rooms that are around the main lobby mainly have views of the pool. They might say ocean view, but you're at the same elevation as the ocean, so it's not going to be as prominent as if you were in like a Piton suite and you having like a high up view looking out at the ocean. Hopefully that is making sense. In that middle area, kind of where those Piton suites are, is another little complex with a pool. This is really a very quiet pool most of the time. And that is where the Pitons restaurant is. There's a little, drinks there and stuff. And a little bit toward that area too, you kind of have Soy and the Teppanyaki restaurant, which are, all those evening dining options. But that's kind of in the middle there. If you continue up the hill, you get up to the Ocean View Bluff. These are some of the more luxurious rooms. There's a butler lounge up in this area. This is where Armando's is. This is another pool area. Some games and stuff are there. There's like a pool table and a covered area and some areas up there. Most of the butler suites, with the exception of what's in the Rondeval villas, are in this Ocean View Bluff area, which is why the butler lounge is up there. These are there's some rooms that have 2 floors where the bedroom is on the second floor actually, and the main living space is on the first floor. Pretty much everything on the Ocean View Bluff area has amazing views. It's up high and they're facing the ocean. So this is some of the most stunning views, some of the most there's a level of privacy to it because it's like kind of you in the ocean, especially in some of the ones that are right on the water, the oceanfront ones. There's no beach access up at the Ocean View Bluff area. Okay, so you're up on this mountain or bluff, but there's not a beach there. Okay, it's kind of rocky. You couldn't get down to it anyway because you're up high. So the Ocean View Bluff area, beautiful views, stunning. Love being near Armando's because that's our preferred breakfast location. But and there's a pool up there, but that's not necessarily beach access. Beach access is only from that main lobby area. That's more at the ground level. Now, if you have a butler up in the they're very happy to pick you up and drive you down to the beach area, and they'll have an area for you if you want what they call a clamshell, which is like a umbrella kind of thing that you sit in, or umbrellas. They'll have a cooler of drinks for you and have a little beach area set up for you. So if you want to be at the beach and you have a butler, that's not a problem. They'll pick you up at breakfast and drive you down to the beach, and then text your butler when you're getting ready to go, and they'll give you a ride back up. Not a problem. But just so you know that the entrance to the ocean, you're not going to step right out of your, ocean villa up at the Ocean View Bluff and step right out into the ocean. That's not going to happen. Please don't do that. You'll fall off a cliff. So that's the Ocean View Bluff area. So, some of the luxury rooms, a lot of those are in that main lobby area and in the Piton Suites area. The Rondeval Villas and the Ocean View Bluffs is mostly your butler categories, as well as some in the hideaway rooms and suites is mostly concierge and butler. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea of where in the resort you would want to be. I mean, if you want to step out of your room and walk right into the ocean every day, be in that main lobby area. That is the closest access point to the beach, right there, no hills. But again, the views are different there because you're more on eye level with the water. Okay, so now I want to talk a little bit about some of the new accommodations that they've added to Sandals Regency La Toc. The first one is that Rondeval Villas that we talked about. So if you're unfamiliar with the Sandals Rondeval, these are great. These are like, first of all, you have your own unit. They're a private unit. They're circular, hence the Rondeval, they're round. So they're circular. If you cut that circle in half, the back half is your bathroom with a wall, and then the front half would be where your bedroom is, looking out to your own private pool. They have a butler service at all the Rondevals, always have that. At this particular resort, because where they're situated, they're not necessarily ocean view, they're more private, secluded. They have two kinds of Rondevals, which is these are outstanding. I mean, I love Rondevals anyway, but if you could make a Rondeval any better, you would make it a sky villa. So what they did is instead of it having like kind of a thatched roof type of roof, it has a flat roof with your own private staircase to go up onto the roof and have your own area upstairs. So you can sit up on top of your villa. There's a soaking tub, there's like a lounge area with umbrella, there's like a little sink and water area so you can like, clean things up, refresh, whatever. There's table and chairs. Again, a lounge area facing out. There may even be a telescope up there. So, I mean, beautiful by day or by night to sit up there and either look at the stars or, just look out at the mountains and the beautiful vistas and everything that's up there. So, at this resort, there's only a few places that have these sky villas. This is kind of a new thing Sandals has been doing. Other resorts have Rondevals, but not everybody has the sky villa. So, like I said, two types of Rondevals in that Rondeval village. The regular Rondevals, which are the Rondeval Butler Villa with private pool, and then the Rondeval Butler Sky Villa with private pool. That's the one that has that rooftop area. Absolutely stunning. I mean, and then your villa kind of is like surrounded by a little like fancy thing too. So when you're out at your private pool, when you're in your villa with your, doors open, you have an enormous amount of privacy. And the location of these are great because there's not another building that's high up that's nearby. Sometimes the Rondevals at certain resorts can kind of be like in front of another building that maybe has 4 floors. And so some of the Rondevals you can kind of see into more from neighboring buildings. At this resort, the Rondevals are kind of in their own area. So a little bit more privacy there. So super, super nice feature, these new Rondevals. And then the other new category they have is the oceanfront 2-story, 1 bedroom Butler Villa with private pool. And these are in the Sunset Bluff area. So again, if you're not watching this video, if you're listening to me, I will try to describe it. I will not do it justice. And I don't even think the picture does it justice. But again, you can go on the Sandals website and see more of these photos or go to our website. We have the video here as well. But the oceanfront 2-story, 1 bedroom Butler Villa with private pool. So the main floor when you come in is your living space, your butler pantry. You have like a wine cooler, just a nice area there. That goes right out onto your patio where you have your own private pool, outdoor seating. And then right after that is just ocean. Remember, on the Sunset Bluff, you're up high. So you're just looking straight out to water. Beautiful, beautiful views. And I believe, hence it's called the Sunset Bluff area, that you get the most spectacular sunsets. I believe it's facing that direction. Beautiful, beautiful sunsets out there. And that's your first floor. Then you can go upstairs, and that's where the king bed is located, facing the water on the second floor of this villa. Again, it has a butler, so everything you need. I mean, you literally could check in here and basically not leave. There's a full dining menu the butler can bring you. If there's something in particular you want from a restaurant, you usually can order that too, with the exception of soy. They will not bring in sushi for safety reasons, but we ordered a dinner from Pitons our night in our Butler Villa, and they brought us our dinner to from Pitons and literally set it up on the table, like served it and everything. So really, really nice, beautiful views if that's what you're looking for. There's, like I said, there's lots of other accommodations as well, but I just wanted to highlight these because these are some of the newer accommodations. Just a little overview of the resort as we wrap up. There are three main pool areas, which I kind of touched on already. There's the main pool outside of the main lobby. There's a pool in the middle that is by pitons, kind of in the middle area of the resort. And then the third pool is up on the Sunset Bluff area outside of Armando's. They have pool bars and pool service, lots of chairs and everything like that. There are 4 whirlpools or hot tubs located around the resort if you're looking for that. There's also a dive pool if you're looking for diving or to want to be certified while you're on your vacation. So you can do that there at the dive pool. And then there is a beautiful beach, like I said, off of the main lobby area by the main pool. This is a narrow beach. It's not super deep. There are the ends of it that are a little bit wider and deeper, but the resort's kind of on a cove. And so it's a beautiful walk-in beach, but the beach is relatively shallow. So you can actually be sitting on the pool deck looking out at the ocean. It's right along the pool deck. In fact, the first chairs to go every day are the ones that are all along that main pool deck facing the ocean because it's like everything about being at the beach without any sand. If anybody's not a fan of sand, that's where you want to sit. Just look at the ocean, hear the ocean, don't touch the sand. But it is kind of a shallow, short beach. It's not super deep. And it's usually a pretty quiet ocean. It's not super rough because it is in a cove. And I find that at night we see cruise ships coming into the port that's not far from there. So that's kind of nice at night to kind of see the lights of the cruise ships coming in and out. So overall, we love La Toc. It's one of our favorite Sandals resorts. I probably say that about everything. But we're going back again because we just love it so much. And we hope you would love it too. So if this is something you're interested in talking more about, feel free to reach out to us. We would love to help you.